Mum,
Are you recording again?
it's coming home, Mum. It is.
Do you want me to burst into song?
What's going to be dead funny is I
Dead
can't
funny.
reference it too much because this comes out after the final, and imagine if it doesn't. But anyway,
You've got to be positive, Declan.
I am. But
Even I feel positive, and I'm not. I watched it last night, and I was, giving them.
Shall I do the intro first, though, before we get into it a bit more?
Okay. Well, you should say. I don't know what you're doing.
Well, I was just a bit of a preamble. Is that okay?
Okay.
Hello and welcome to It's in the Genes podcast, the podcast by the Digital Gene. My name is Declan.
And I'm Sharon.
And we're a mum and son duo and directors from the Digital Gene. Today we'll be discussing, as well as what we've been up to, football and stuff. Loads of these topics are yours, Mum, so I'm not going to try and read them like a robot like I usually do.
We are talking about this.
So you've had an ordeal on Instagram this week, which you're going to get into.
Mm-hmm.
An article about e-commerce and thinking it's easy and it's not.
Yes.
You want to challenge the perception of older workers. ITV have launched shoppable TV tech. And then the one topic I wanted to talk about was customers being fed up with COVID being an excuse for bad service.
Well,
I don't think we're going to get to a business bit section this week.
And let's not do all my topics all in one go. Let's break out to one of yours, so it's not.
It's not
all about me.
Well, I will have an opinion on them, so that's fine.
Oh, I'm sure you'll have an opinion, Declan. Yes.
So it's not going to be one-sided, although I know that's how you would like it to be.
But... No, of course. If that was the case, Declan, I would do a solo podcast.
I'm surprised you don't.
I like bouncing off you. That sounds rude. Straight away. Too early.
What would it be called? Expiry date.
Yeah. That's a good one, actually, Declan. Thank you. Make a note of that, because by the end of it, my fog brain will have forgotten that.
Your fog brain or your brain fog?
You can say either.
Can you?
Yeah. Right, come on, let's get started then.
We are started. What?
I know, but let's talk about the topics.
How are you doing? Are you excited for Freedom Day?
When is it?
Clearly not then.
No.
19th.
Are we having the day off?
Are we?
I feel as if you need to come in with an intro now. Freedom. Doesn't sound anything like George Michael, that does it? If you had to guess that tune, if you had to guess that tune, Declan, you do realise that you're picking at your retainers.
My elastic bands keep falling out.
Are you going to cut that? You know when you say unfiltered on YouTube, I bet you cut that bit out.
Nobody would have noticed if you hadn't.
Well, I'm your mum and I notice it, so that's why. So when you're doing a podcast and a video with your mum, don't do things that you know she's going to pick you up on.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay.
So you're not excited then?
Pass. I was excited the last time.
Yeah.
But it seems like a non-event now.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I kind of had the plans that I had. I was in Manchester for what was meant to be the previous Freedom Day, but I don't know, something about this whole learning to live with it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, because every time that they've relaxed the rules before, it's because cases have been going way down. But it's like they're relaxing.
It's going the other way, isn't it now?
It's going really high and they're relaxing it, and it just feels really a bit alien. And I also think for however many months, the messaging has always been, do not pass COVID on to anybody, isolate yourselves, keep a distance. And now COVID is still rife in society, but now all those rules aren't going to exist anymore.
And I was just chatting to a friend before we came on air, And I said, I feel as if I just don't know what's going on anymore. It's just so many mixed messages, so much non-wrong information. Even just I think we've mentioned this before. I've certainly mentioned it in conversation with others. Even just the symptoms on the NHS website now are so outdated. Like people are having.
They've said that. They've said that for the Delta variant, haven't they? That it's not the same.
So
or it's different if you've been vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, the symptoms are a lot. It's more of like a headache, or that's
how difficult is it to update a website? I mean, come on.
Well, you would think
it's the government. Like you would think, do they want a support contract offers?
They need to
go in and make the updates.
They need to. No, I think they need to 100% confirm that they are symptoms from the scientists first. But I'll still wear masks, I think, in certain situations.
Oh, for sure. I'll be wearing masks. When we used to see people in Asian countries, or even people visiting here, when you would see them, especially like on the tube and stuff. And I know lots of people are saying, for the likes of London, they're going to wear them on the tube and public transport. I don't do a lot of public transport, but definitely if I'm going to be mixing with crowds, I'm going to be wearing a mask for sure.
Do you think, though, let's say you were going to see a concert and it was an indoor concert, would you wear a mask then?
Can I just say to you, I need an exempt lanyard, because
no, you don't.
My menopausal symptoms as you know, are going through the roof again at the minute. Yeah. I'm waiting to get my HRT tweaked, fingers crossed. And the hot sweats that I have when I wear a mask. Somebody somewhere needs to design a mask for menopausal women, because the heat is untrue.
I think that would involve making it a bit more porous, and obviously you can't really do that, can you? But you wear fabric ones, don't you? I wonder if you should maybe get some of those, the single use.
No, we've got some of those. But you know how I like to accessorize.
Oh, I do,
So having.
So maybe just drop the want and need for accessorizing, Mum. Just
I think
for a bit of convenience. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's totally put me off going in shops, because it's just not a pleasure for me at all. I'm breaking out in hot sweats, and the mask just amplifies that sensation for me. And so shopping for me is an absolute horror at the moment. So I just do very little of it. It's a bit cool. It's a bit cooler in supermarkets, when I go and do the weekly shop. It's a bit cooler, but going in, regular shops, clothes shopping, all that type of thing, just far too warm, and I can't stand it with a mask on.
Are you at the stage where, I remember I used to go shopping with you before and you would literally be like soaking. Are you back to that kind of vibe? Or,
Yeah, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. And I don't want to whinge, because there's far worse things to be, concerned about. But for me, it means that I do less of that. So that can't be good if there's people like me doing less of all that stuff, can it? That's not good for the economy, if you drill it down to that.
Well, yeah, well, it's just not a good health thing for you.
It's just not good all round, is it? So, thank God for online shopping. That's all I can say.
Well, you are an advocate of it, aren't you, anyway? So, but no, I'm fine, thanks.
Did I not ask you again?
No.
Did you actually ask me if I was okay? But
I said how you're doing, what you're up to.
But you know why that is? It's because you lead in this. I don't lead it. I'm just involved. So because you lead it as a true host, you ask those leading questions.
Yeah, but you've got the title of co-host. It's not guest host.
I didn't ask for that title, Declan. You gave me it.
Right.
So I know that you're okay. I only spoke to you 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, but for the purpose of the
podcast, are you okay, son?
I am okay. I'm obsessed with the football. I'm in such a good mood after last night.
Good.
I think some of my friends are a bit like, they can't believe quite how much I am into it.
And that you've also requested to watch the final with your dad?
Well, Mum, we haven't been in a final since '66.
No, I know.
Major tournament, so
So
it might be the only time me and Dad ever get to watch a final together.
Oh, and your dad, when you said that you wanted to meet up for Dad to come there to watch it with you, your dad was so touched.
Was he?
Yeah, I was like, it's a bonding thing, because he said he's never watched one with you, so he wants to do it, and I could tell he was really touched by that. So,
that's nice. Are you just gonna go and sit in my room and read when
I'm gonna watch it?
Oh yeah.
I loved last night. For somebody
Oh.
who's not that really into football, I really enjoyed it, because at the end of the day, we don't ever do well in the Eurovision, do we? But
I think I was saying this to a few people. I think people like this team of like younger lads who seem like the nice guys. And
yeah,
was it Rashford did all that stuff last year, didn't he, with the free school meals for kids? I just think people just seem to like them and really want to.
They do, and I think it's also I think it's also the effect of everything that we've all been through. Obviously collectively, Denmark will have felt the same about their team. Italy will feel the same about theirs. It's that patriotism, isn't it? And collectively, what we've all been through, it just seems to add something more to it. And I'm actually sat on the edge of my seat last night giving them tips to the TV screen. I mean, one of those backseat drivers type things, those backseat players.
What tips were you giving them? What did they have to do?
I can't even remember. I just felt like, before they swapped round, is that half time?
Well, yeah.
They were looking a bit like they were all over the place. And then once they sent the subs on, then it seemed to like really freshen up and get exciting. And I was like, come on, like this. And I thought they did an amazing job of like keeping the ball at that last 5 minutes or so. So yeah.
This is such a bizarre conversation.
I'm a pundit now. I'm a pundit. What can I say? Get me on the TV.
They want more female pundits.
Get me on the telly. All the years I've slagged it off. Get me on it. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it with you, son.
I know you like a reinvention as well, but I think
I think you
reinventing yourself to become a football pundit on BBC would be like.
Is that not doable?
The mother of all, like.
Well, I say you can do anything you set your mind to.
Yeah, you do. So before we move on to the topics that we wanted to discuss, I just want to touch on the Succession trailer. Well, it was a teaser, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're obsessed, aren't we? Do you know anybody who's as obsessed as... Are any of your friends obsessed as you?
Not really, no. A lot of people don't watch, like, Sky Atlantic stuff, because I don't think that many people have access to it. But
your dad's never watched it?
Oh, it's so... And it was left on a cliffhanger, wasn't it, the last season? And I was laughing in that trailer. What does the dad say? I'm going to grind his fucking bones to like... I was like...
Sounds like a pirate, doesn't he? Oh, I'm going to grind your fucking bones.
And it always just reminds me of like if you were ever angry at me in the business and you were just...
Does it? Oh, you're likening me to Brian Cox, thanks.
No, just imagine you getting angry.
Brian Cox, but
you having a bitch to dad, like, I'm going to grind his fucking balls. So...
Oh, I'll have to remember that one. I won't remember it.
No.
But yeah, I just cannot wait. And I told you, didn't I, that I've been watching the 3-part documentary about Ghislaine, what's she called? Yeah, and I said to you, I messaged you, didn't I? And I said, you need to watch this because this is Succession in real life. But you haven't watched it, have you?
No, not yet.
And you need to, because they've obviously based Succession. They've got to have based it on that family or part of that family, because it just feels like you're watching them, Robert Maxwell, and all this thing that's unfolding.
Who's Robert Maxwell?
That was the dad who went off the side of the yacht.
Oh.
And they didn't know whether it was espionage or suicide. They actually said it was suicide, and she says there's no way, and her mom said there's no way he would have committed suicide. So there was a lot of stuff. If you read the backstory up on it, there was a lot of stuff going on at the time about how it even happened. And then she took over sort of his role in the family. It's fascinating stuff. And then now obviously she's tied up in all that, what's it called? That story.
The Epstein stuff.
Yeah, tied up in all that, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it just seems so many touch points from that. Just reminds me of it, that they must have used that as some sort of inspiration in some way. But yeah, I don't. A few people on Instagram tell me if I talk about in my stories how much they're into it, but I feel like me and you are literally obsessed.
Oh yeah.
Cannot
Should
wait.
we move on to some topics then?
Don't we always blabber on about the strangest, tiniest little things when it was meant to be like a few seconds, and then usually I go on, don't I? Yeah. Okay. Move on.
Right, let's move on.
It's going to be me now, blabbering on again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Go on then.
Okay, so do you want to start with your ordeal this week?
Oh, I felt like I wasn't giving it any airspace, but
I don't know what's happening here. Some of my friends know more about it than me.
The interesting thing is that it's drove me back to my blog. I've half written a blog post early this morning about it. You know, when you're typing like this, and it's, you know, haven't written on my blog for probably once this year, twice tops. And I keep saying I'm going to find time to get back to it because I love writing on it. And it's actually driven me back to that. So, you know, thanks Instagram for that. But basically, you know, you get creepy DMs all the time, creepy DMs. And I never accept them, but obviously you can see them, can't you? And this one at the weekend, and actually I'd had a slew of them, and I wondered if it was the fact that I'd updated my profile a bit. I'd put that I was 58 on my profile, and you feel like the trolling, you know, Instagram looking for these vulnerable old biddies that they think we all are, and it seemed to coincide with that. But anyway, so I had a slew of like 4 or 5, which, you know, is a lot for me over a weekend. I might get that a week. This one guy, it sort of made me chuckle as well because he wanted me to be his sugar baby. He wanted me to be his sugar baby, and he was going to pay.
How old was he like?
I have no idea, but yeah, like not even going there. Wanted me to be his sugar baby. Was going to pay all my bills, all my rent, and $5,000 a week via PayPal.
Oh, can you send him my way, please?
So I was like, how can you resist that? But I just, towards the end of Sunday, I just got a bit cheesed off. I thought, where are these dickheads coming from? You know, and so I decided to like screenshot. And bearing in mind, he's put his WhatsApp and his Google Hangout details all on it. And you think, you know, you're sort of thinking how they twist it round, like none of that exists. But if somebody was vulnerable or was tempted to accept it and start having conversations with this type of guy, you wonder where it would end, you know? Is it some sort of honey?
No, but it might actually be legit.
Well, it could be legit, but it also could be some sort of honey trap, couldn't it? Or there's lots of permutations of what it could be. And anyway, so I just got a bit sick because for me it was quite a lot over the weekend. So I screenshot it and wrote, or if anybody fancies taking this guy up, here's his details. What have you got to lose? Just thought it was a bit of fun. And the minute that I sort of went to like share it on my story, I got a message up saying it had been removed against community guidelines. I thought, huh? It's never happened to me before, but of course I've never done anything like that before. So for a second or two, I thought that was a bit strange. And I thought, well, it's got his details in it, but it doesn't mention sex. It doesn't mention COVID, you know, all those different types of things. I thought, oh, I wonder what it is. So I tried to do it again, and I got it again. So I thought, oh, fair enough. That spoiled me a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? And then at the same time,
is it because it had his number in?
But I still don't get that how that's possible in that nanosecond that they would know that.
Well, they must have code written.
Yeah, so obviously, so obviously, then at the same time, in the top, I get a message saying that I was ineligible now to use the brand partnership tool, which, as you know, is if you want to work with a brand, say it's like Marks and Spencer's, Next, or whatever, and they want to work on a campaign with you, and they want access to your stats and your data from that campaign. You tag them with that so they can get access to all of that. Now, I've never used that. My blog, my social accounts are a hobby for me. I've had some nice little things come up off it. I've had some paid jobs, but never anybody so far that's wanted me to use the brand partnership tool. But that's not the point. I thought, what if I want to in the future? And to be honest, in the words of, I couldn't see how the punishment fitted the crime. What was the connection? Why would you strip somebody of that for that? I just couldn't get it. When you think about all the hate crime that is actually truly going on social media every single day, and it just didn't feel like the punishment fitted the crime. So I put in a few support requests over the week. I think I've put about 3 in now because I've been that mad about it, and it just keeps coming back. I can't have the brand partnership tool because I'm not safe. I've breached community guidelines.
Ever?
Doesn't say, because obviously a lot of this is AI. It's robotic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I just feel very badly done to, really. And I get it. I get that it basically had the guy's contact details in it, but I reckon he'd have been pretty happy because it would have shared him around a few more hundred people, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you could have put it on, but you would have just had to block his number and his thing.
So I absolutely get that, but I just don't feel that for what it was, and like it's never done it before, and but so it's okay for these guys to do this to us, though. It's okay for them.
They're only what harm has he caused?
So for me, it's that message was quite funny, but there's some that aren't. And I know women all the time who are getting sent messages. The things that are said on these messages, I've personally never had any of them. For me, I was just trying to throw a light-hearted spin on what is happening to women every single day on these platforms. But some of the stories that I've been privy to, that I know women are getting messaged and sent every single day. So I think, that's okay. That's okay. It's like the breast cancer warriors. There was, I think at the end of last year, there was something going around. A woman had some tattoos across where her breasts had been. And that had been taken down for breaching community guidelines. But it's okay to get your tits out, which it is okay to get your tits out if that's what you want to do. But, they don't do anything.
You can't do it on Instagram, though.
Or whatever. But there's ways that people, something. I mean, I've been sent messages like, do like sex stuff. All sorts of stuff. So it's okay to be able to come into your private space. Admittedly, you've got to accept it or you just delete. And usually I delete them all. That one I saved, didn't accept it, just saved it, screenshot it, thought it was hilarious, really. And I thought I would be doing him a favour. But for now, I felt last night like some sort of, as if I'd been responsible for some sort of hate crime. It's ridiculous, really. Ridiculous. So yeah, not a happy bunny. I accept that they should have said this breach is, like a little slap on the wrist type of thing. And you know me, I'm always.
It's probably because you tried to put it on again.
And the other thing as well is that they always say about social media, don't they? Don't say anything that you wouldn't say in real life. Well, I would tell that bloke he was a dickhead in real life. So, I wasn't putting anything out there that I wouldn't have said. In fact, I would have said quite a lot to that man. I mean, what man would come up to you in real life, in any situation, and go, hey, do you want to be my sugar baby? I'll pay your rent. I think I can do a reel to this. I think I need to find a thing for a reel.
You obviously haven't been to some of the places that I've been to.
I can pay you. How I think it should be. That hippo off. What's that hippo?
Madagascar.
Yeah. So I feel like it should be in the voice of that. Hey, baby, you want to be my sugar baby? I can pay your rent. I can pay your bills. It wants to be one of those.
Like, I like them big, I like them chunky.
That's what he would say to me. I like them big, I like them chunky. I pay your rent. I pay your bills. You be my sugar baby.
Oh, God.
So yes, basically, I just feel really, well and truly cheesed off with Instagram.
Wow, that's getting clipped. That you doing.
So the type of things that are going on every day, and that's happened to me. It's crazy. Crazy. And I couldn't even say on air what I know some women are getting sent every day.
Oh, I can imagine.
Truly, truly horrendous. But that's okay, apparently.
Well, it's not, though.
But they allow
How do you know
that.
that? How do you know they're not getting banned on that side?
They allow that. And actually, I've had a few women contact me and say that they continually call these men out by screenshotting, and yet they've never had anything happen to them.
Well, you were just unlucky then, but I
Yeah.
hope that it does come back because you use your Instagram as a bit of a.
I do use my Instagram. As I say, I've never used
a bit of a revenue stream, if you'd let me finish.
I have, but I've never actually used the partnership tool. But that's not the point. I might want to. You know, Marks and Spencers might come flocking to me one of these days off the back of something that we do, and I've got to say to them, oh, you know, I can't use the brand partnership tool because I shared a sext. A sext.
It wasn't a sext.
I don't know. I just made that up.
It's
not like it was a sex tape, is it? I mean, God. No. Anyway, let's move on. But yeah, thank you, Instagram. You've driven me back to my blog because I'm going to publish a blog post about it.
Well, that's what we've said with blogs. You own them, don't you? So you can do what you want.
And you know, the thing for it is what I've said again as well. And I've chatted to a few people last night in the DMs is saying, thank God this isn't my business. Because I made one tiny little step wrong and took something off me.
Imagine if you were like a full-time influencer who needed to use that brand.
Yeah. I always said I've seen businesses get, you know, fail just because they don't care, because it's all on algorithms and all on AI bots, isn't it? It's not real people mostly. They've probably got about 6 real people running the whole of Instagram. The rest is all AI. But yeah, and you can't have a conversation with a bot, can you?
No.
So there we go. Anyway, let's move
on to another one of your topics then. This guy about, it's a Mirror article, which I'm a bit ashamed of you for sharing, to be honest. But
yeah, well, it popped up on my. I mean, I can use another link. I'm sure it's on other news channels for the purpose of the sharing. But I actually, when you say that you're a bit sort of put out that I've shared this, it was more the title of the article that I didn't like.
Man hits £1 billion jackpot after launching.
So man hits £1 billion jackpot. So a jackpot is like you've won something, isn't it?
Like it's been handed to you.
Yeah, like it's been handed to you quite easily. You bought a ticket, or you bought a scratch card, or a lottery ticket, or whatever, and you've won it. So I one of the things that I was wanting to bring up about it was, here we go again. You know, these headlines. Actually, this guy worked so hard to get to this stage in his life, in his business. There's nothing about winning a jackpot on it. Nothing about that. And I'm often telling people that, you know, how everybody is running to be online with e-commerce. And if you've got an idea, or you've got a product, or you're selling a collection of products, it's great to be able to do it. You know, we've got all of this functionality to have an online store so easily these days. You know, even many people can set up a basic Shopify store themselves. It's not difficult if you give it a bit of time and thought. So it's quite easily to get online. But I'm always saying it to people who, you know, clients that we work with, how difficult it is once the store is launched. That's not the hardest bit. The hardest bit is once you're live and you've got to find the customers to sell it all to. And so that just caught my eye, really. One that's, you know, nothing about that article of what he's done is easy. It's Victorian Plumbing, which is a store that, you know, we shop at a lot, renovating our property at the minute. So we know what's behind this store. You know, we shop at it, and it says it's now worth around £1 billion, and its share price.
That's took him quite a long time, though.
It has took him a long time. I mean, it's you know, but when you think of the outcomes, but then he says, you know, how he started off in his parents' shed, 20 years, I think it was, wasn't it, selling everything, baths, basins, taps, tiles. As it says there, the self-confessed workaholic was the UK's first eBay millionaire at 30 after founding First to Save, a mobile phone accessories business. So he's clearly very entrepreneurial, isn't he? He started off with one thing and then moved on to another. And he described the early days like his mum and dad working for him. I mean, that's, do you remember back in the day when you were running my Twitter account for my business?
Yeah.
And the times when we were all sat around the kitchen table packing parcels. That's a true family business, isn't it? Getting everybody involved as it grows. And that excitement, I was talking yesterday in a client meeting, that excitement of, we were real sad. Oh, do you remember that day when you were off school ill and we'd managed to get a product on This Morning? And we were watching
this before, yeah.
We were watching everybody, weren't we, buying it through the checkout and refreshing the page because we were that excited about it. So never got to this stage, but know how hard it really is to work. And I just want people to realise that it's all doable. It's all doable. It's all there. Everything is there. The tools are all there to make this possible. But that it is really hard work. I just think some people think it must be easy. And again, it comes down to that thing, doesn't it, where, I've got my website. Where are they all? And, I often say, as you know, to potential clients, so what's, you need to know what the budget is for the development of the store, but what's your budget for everything else? How are you going to get those customers? And that's the same whether it's e-commerce or whatever type of business it is. And I just think people do not think about those parts. And I don't get why it's not in their minds as to what happens once the website's live, once the store's live. It seems to be a massive educational missing link that somehow they think having a web presence, people automatically come to you. And when
you had your e-com site years ago, I remember you used to hold a bit of stock when it first started, but did you move towards more, you were like what's the word?
Well, the word is a drop.
Loads of seller. Yeah, drop shipping. Yeah.
Well, the word is a drop shipper, but it was slightly different in that we were working really mostly with artisans and creators who were making the products. So everything was, if it was a personalized piece of jewelry or, handbag that was made to order in a certain color, they were all, really unusual small businesses that I was bringing onto the platform, because people hadn't had access to all of that type of shopping before. It was just due to the generic stuff that you could get in the high street, whereas my stuff, a lot of the stuff I was bringing from America. So as you know, when I was selling the personalized dog tags that the Beckhams even wore, didn't they?
Yeah, it was mad that.
Do you remember that? Getting a voicemail off Victoria's mum saying how lovely the dog tags were for David. Name dropping now.
Just pick that name up you dropped.
So yeah, there were unusual stuff, but the beauty of it is, the way that it worked really, really slick. In the end, we were putting in orders for, maybe once or twice a month for a batch of personalized orders that people had given to me. And then, it was quite a slick process in the end. We were getting stuff across from the States quite quickly. And it was long before anybody had ever started, creating that. There was another big thing of fingerprint jewelry, where putting your baby's fingerprint in a piece of precious silver clay, it was called, and wearing that as cufflinks, necklace, earrings, that type of thing. And we were I think we were the first to sell that in the UK, before people obviously started thinking, I can make that. I make silver jewelry. I figured out how to do that. But we were one of the first bringing that across from the States, so it was a really exciting time. But it totally took over my life. Totally. We were all embroiled into it, weren't we? And yeah, it was doing okay, and it was, and it grew nicely, and lots of good things came off the back of it. But it was totally all encompassing, and that's what that guy's done. Maybe it is worth £1 billion, but like his life has been that for the last 20 years. And if that's what you want, then that's great, but you've got to realise that. You've got to realise that. And it's the same with, people who don't have a lot of budget. So then I say, well, okay, so you need to live and breathe social media then, TikTok, Instagram. You've got to live and breathe that all day. That's where you need to be hanging out. And people can't be bothered, really, at the end of the day. The people who do it are the ones who are successful, but most people are like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then they just don't realise how much it impinges on the rest of your life. You've got to live and breathe it to be a success.
Yeah.
So it just caught my eye. I know you're saying it's the Mirror, but it caught my eye because of the way that they'd spun the actual, the hook to be able to read it.
I'm quite glad you said the Mirror ones anyway, because they always have some funny comments at the bottom.
Oh, have they got some funny comments?
Just like someone, I just find it fascinating that people feel the need. We discussed this on the episode before, like, who gives a shit about your opinion, talking about yourself, and just how some people have put, he's made a mint off me, nice stuff. Like,
as if he's going to read it.
Yeah.
I always think that's funny, when people comment on those type of things, you think as if that person's actually going to see that and think, oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Another comment, he must be flush then.
Oh, my brain actually can't think of those things.
Well done, this guy, but if you think Queenie is only worth 365 million, you need to lay off the herbs and speak to her accountant. Because in the article it says he's worth more than the Queen. Apparently.
Yeah. People just have these opinions as if this guy is going to see this, don't they? Like, if he's really worth all of that, do you think he's sat on Facebook?
I don't think he's written this as a press release either, has he?
No, I don't think so.
I think it must have been a slow news day that day, I think, maybe. But, fair play to one of these, like, local, like, Mirror, and I like to see more business news in publishing and online, because you don't really get to see businessy type news in this country very often, I don't think.
Do you?
I don't think they have that Ian King on Sky News every morning for half an hour where he talks about businesses. But other than that, I don't think this country is that good at telling the general public about some of the business that goes on in this country.
Yeah, we've said that before, haven't we? When some of the networking that we've been involved in the past, and you the things when you're listening to presentations about what's going on locally with business, and you think, why don't we? If we weren't in business, we wouldn't know this. How come the wider public doesn't know these good news stories of what's happening with some of these businesses? We've said that before ourselves, haven't we? So yeah. Possibly, I think you're right there. It's generally, quite a bit of tat that people like reading. But I guess that's why they've got to put that bit in the title to make people read, haven't they?
I saw an article of The Hill, which is an American publisher, and about all this clickbaity stuff, and it was a Pfizer vaccine. So the headline was Pfizer vaccine less effective against Delta variant. But when you went into it, it's 3% less effective.
Okay.
And it's like they've used just that headline as this shocking clickbaity thing. But really, when you look into it, a 3% decline is nothing for how effective the vaccines are anyway. So I just thought, yeah.
It's just always those shock tactics, isn't it?
So speaking a bit of COVID and obviously talking about your how you had an e-commerce business, and I will always remember, I mean, you do it in the business that we've got now, but you pride yourself on customer service. There was an article today about how customers are getting really fed up with the COVID excuse for bad service. And I will say, I'm one of those.
Oh, yes, I'm joining that club. Yeah.
With everything, it's like, you can't get into doctors. Like you've told me this week your appointment is until the end of July, and it's a telephone appointment. I always remember going to drop off not that long ago something at the post office, and it was like, "Oh, sorry, we're closed. It's COVID hours." And I thought, then you try and think, oh, calm down. They might have staff self-isolating, so they might be short. You know all that, but I'm just like, so many have used it as a really poor excuse.
You feel, you're right, you do feel as if you're constantly checking yourself because you think, oh, the underlying reasons for it. But it does feel like it's almost been an excuse to, pile it on. I mean, for me, that example with my doctors, you know, I've got a great relationship with my GP, and I actually do not mind if moving forward forever, many of our consultations have got to be over the phone or a video call because, some of the things that you go with, your symptoms aren't visible. If your symptoms are visible, if there's something they need to check out, then that's fair enough. But if it's not, they can have a chat like this, can't they?
Yeah.
So I actually agree that that's probably quite a good step in the direction, and surely must save them a lot of time. You haven't got that patient in and out, sitting down, all of that type of thing. All those valuable minutes that you're saving. But what I don't understand, the flip side of that, is how come the actual wait times have got longer. So
I just think some of these, especially like businesses that have been around for a long time and haven't changed. I listened to a podcast this week about with the CEO of Monzo and how he wanted to. He used his bad experience of being a NatWest customer to like launch Monzo, and how whilst they were embracing online banking, to change his address, he had to take a letter to the nearest store and like all.
Oh, you've had to do that. You've had to do that, haven't you? At one point in this
it's
business,
just like it's just crazy. So he challenged that sector. It's a really interesting story. I didn't know all the.
That was the reason.
And one of the digressing a bit here, but one of the cleverest decisions they made is the colour of the card, Monzo.
To stand out.
Because everyone was like, oh, I've got, and he said the CEO, one of the craziest moments he ever had was when he was in a shop and he watched somebody pay with a Monzo card, and the person serving them said, oh, aren't they cool? Mine's on its way. And
I've had that happen. Have you?
What about Monzo?
I've had people comment on the colour of the card and how cool it is, and what is it? Oh, who's that? What is it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have.
Definitely a talking point. But
no,
the other. Sorry,
Are you going back to customer service?
Yeah, the other bad thing about customer service and the other group of people that give bad customer service are tradespeople. And obviously I think that's off the back of everybody was at home, everybody wanted stuff doing. And I think it's just added to that, not getting back to you, not coming when they say they're going to come, all of the stuff. And obviously they've had a bad rap for a long time, but it seems to have got worse now because they are literally the busiest they've ever been.
It's when you take competition out, isn't it? So they're really busy constantly because everyone was at home wanting work done for their houses. So if they took the foot off the gas customer service wise, they didn't have to worry about it because there was going to be another job for them to do regardless of if their customer. So I think in any sector, if there's like a monopoly of a sector, or they can just get away with it because what can you do?
Yeah, it's always when you've touched on before how the next 10 years or so are going to pan out. Whether it's going to be like the roaring 20s, everything's going to be great once we get over this. And I just think if that's the case, is service going to just continue to escalate and be so bad across different sectors? Because for me, renovating a house and buying all the stuff and having to get people in and, and
you've
for
had
us...
You've had some quite shitty experiences, really, with all sorts.
Totally.
Ordering the people who came and done some of the work.
I've learned to become extremely patient because I get that, we've got Brexit, we have that Suez Canal problem. The world is a really small place. We've had COVID. I've learned to be extremely patient, and actually that's a good thing. But it's when you get the bad service around that as well, like the lack the almost zero communication from some businesses on updates. And, I'm quite passionate about that with our clients, aren't I? Like, even if I've got nothing to tell them, if we're in the middle of a project, I'll just say, just updating you to let you know there's nothing new this week. We're in the middle of XYZ. Hopefully by this time next week, I'll have something more that we can deliver to you. Because I just think when people just go off the scale and disappear, that's when people become a bit worried, don't they?
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel about our business. But yeah, and all your dad, then I start fuming again when it's happened. Your dad goes, well, not everybody's like you. And I said, I think there's a massive, massive gap for somebody to plug about, customer service and how ultimately it affects the longevity of your business, because people will remember things. People will remember.
So you think when you say there's a gap in the market, like customer service training or
yeah, just getting people.
Like
sometimes I guess, and I think about tradesmen, I think about how busy they are and how, trying to run the business. And you think that little guy who's a decorator or a plumber or whatever, and he's got all these jobs going on, and he's got his accounts to do, and he's got his quotes to do, and you think, yeah, it is hard, but don't lose sight of the end game, because if you continue to perpetuate not getting back to people. And the other thing as well, giving really high inflated quotes because you don't want the business. I've experienced that as well. And I just
well, yeah, because what if you thought that was the standard and ended up paying it, and you've really overpaid for your
exactly.
But maybe if there is this like renaissance in small business that there's a lot of talk about, especially post pandemic. I always think smaller businesses tend to be a lot more appreciative of your money and your time. And when you shop at I bought a present for a friend not long ago, and they'd put a really cute little note. It was off Etsy, and they'd put like a really cute note in it. And those little things you remember. So
yeah, you do, and then you go back. The next time you want a present for somebody else, you go back, don't you? That's how it's meant to be. And I think in different sectors, all the various sectors there are that you can engage with and buy things from, there is some of that, and that's great. I love that. But some of them are just going very terribly wrong and really cheesing people off. And I just think people will remember. They'll vote with their feet and their wallets, basically, won't they?
If there's competition in the sector, which is the big, Well, as RuPaul says, they'll have to step the pussies up, won't they?
Oh, gosh. What can I say to that?
One of my failures in life is that my mum doesn't watch Drag Race. She watches all the shit I watch, but she can't watch Drag Race. She can't get away with it.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like it. I just don't like it enough.
I think it's the Catholic upbringing just jumping out a little bit, obviously.
No, I don't. No, I literally.
I love drag queens.
I don't. Oh, no, I don't dislike drag queens. No, I thought you were saying drag queen. I just don't like it enough. That's all.
Fair enough. Yeah. But Married at First Sight Australia, like, you're there at the premiere,
because I love, at the end of the day, a lot of this reality stuff is, as you know, and it's like you with RuPaul, it's a way to unwind, switch off, and
escapism, Mum.
And when you watch things, you think, oh, my life's not that shit after all, or you think, oh, well, I'm not that stupid after all. There's somebody else making a bigger pile of shit than me over there.
Right, let's move on then. You wanted to talk about more evidence to support the value of women age 50. Why does it need evidence? I don't get that. Like, I know the article has tried to put a slant on it, but why and maybe the issue is the fact that we need evidence to support the value of women over 50. Why do we need evidence?
It does, because when you're in this space like me, and I'm hurtling even closer to 60 now, which is...
Oh, well, I'm glad you said it, because if I said that, you'd have fumed.
Pretty scary. Yeah, pretty scary. But actually embracing it as well, because I feel fabulous, the fact that I'm getting close to that age, and I am fabulous at the end of the day. So, living proof that, later life can be, it comes with its trials and tribulations, but overall it can be fabulous.
Any more fabulous?
But it's obviously, when you live in this space that I'm in, you see that you are not acknowledged by society in many ways. Whether that's through work, through leisure. I laughed last week. I got sent, somebody followed me, I think, was from a stair lift company on Instagram. And
but what did you put in your bio?
Oh, that I was 58.
No, I think you put like aging.
Pro-aging. Pro-aging is a term that I like.
Well, how can you be anti-aging? Because we're all getting older.
Well, we're all anti-aging. Look at all the skincare. It's all anti-aging, isn't it? Which I hate. Like, I'm not anti-aging. I just want to look and feel well for my age. I'm not anti-aging. I think it's, I'm proud that I'm still, here on this planet, that I've reached this age and I'm fermenting like a fine wine.
God, who put some confidence in you today?
I don't know whether fermenting's the right word. I'm aging like a fine wine. Oh. Fermented. No, I'm not fermenting, am I? But aging like a fine wine. Let's take that. Fermenting just doesn't sound. No, I don't think that's the right word. But you know me, I often use the wrong words in lots of things. But yeah, I don't often big myself up, and I'm very self-deprecating. Very painfully self-deprecating. But I just think if as older women we don't big ourselves up, nobody else will. And that's
the slant of that article is annoying me though, because it's like they're using the professor who was the project leader of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, who's 59.
Yeah.
So they're using her example to say that like women in their 40s and 50s within the workplace are worth it, but like a woman,
because often
but a woman who was 60 who's stacking shelves in the little Tesco is valued like, I don't know why we've got to.
We're all valid. We're all valid, but can I just tell you, it's about visibility. So it's a strange shift in things when you. And I have experienced it, but no way on a scale that I know some other women have experienced it. And we've talked about this before, and I've written about it in my blog. My mum, your grandma, bless her, says, "Oh, you'll never be invisible, Sharon." I think it's something to do with the hair and the glasses and, the loud clothes. Like, you can't miss me. I know that. And I don't do that intentionally. That's just my personality and how it's developed as I've got older. But you do become invisible. People do pass you over and think that, your input is no longer valid. It's the younger ones coming through that are most important. And we're all important. We're all important. As we say, in our business on this podcast, you and I together have got two totally different outlooks. No, not different outlooks on life. Got similar outlooks on life. Perspectives, that's a good word. Yes, thank you. We come from the same mold, but we've got different perspectives, and we enable each other to see those different perspectives. And without you, I probably, when I say that you and your brother are constantly, I think I said it to you earlier today, every day is a school day. We're constantly learning from each other as a family. And I love that. I embrace that. And I think that's how it should all be. I've got as much validity in things as you have. We both bring, as a cliche, things to the table. But a lot of women feel like they start to get passed over. And that's just generally how you feel.
We have to challenge a lot. I think you've got to probably challenge your own unconscious bias. So say if I was hiring and I got past the CV and this woman was, well, maybe not even a woman, doesn't matter the gender. If they were 55, let's say.
I mean, would you know that from a CV? Because you actually don't.
Sometimes you put your date of birth, don't you? But you don't have to. But some
people do. They say that you don't
but,
have to. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it just shouldn't really matter. But if I saw a 55-year-old wanted to come and work for the Digital Gene, maybe the first things that would spring up in my head is like, why are they wanting a new job now? What's wrong with them that they've needed, to move at 55? In my head, maybe I might have to be, why do they want to move and change them up? All that. I don't know, something about. Something about the younger generation moving from job to job is totally fine, but something about older people in their careers. It's
But
something
where
feel, but I
you,
would actively try to challenge that thinking, if you
yeah, because
understand
where
me.
you benefit from me is you know that I'm always changing how I feel about everything. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I'm a lightweight and that I'm a flip
Well,
flop. Well, that might be open for discussion, but but I'm always excited about life, as you know. I'm always excited about challenges and new things, and I'm not alone,
mm,
whatever the gender. And so I think women for a long time have felt passed over, and that's, that they have like a cloak of invisibility goes over them, and and yeah, you would think, oh, once over, I would have actually thought, oh, so you're like nearly 60 and you're looking for a different type of job. That's a bit weird.
mm,
And I actually would have thought that, but
yeah.
as I've become this age, I actually think, no, actually, there's nothing wrong with that. And when you think about it, with the pension age, the retirement age moving further and further away from people,
Mm.
um, we're all living longer and we're all going to have to work, probably many of us, into our 70s. And actually, if you want to work longer, what's wrong with that? If you really enjoy your job and you're fit and able to do it, why wouldn't you? And if when you were 75 you decided you wanted to go and do a zoology degree, why can't you?
I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
that wouldn't make economic sense, but
But just take that
like,
out of it.
why, Mum, you couldn't go and do a degree at 75 because you're not going to get a very long career out of it, are you?
What if you live till you were 100, like Major
Yeah, but you're
Tom?
not going to want to work at bloody. You're not going to be a zoologist at 90, are you?
David Attenborough? How
Yeah,
old's
but he's
he?
done it all his life. He didn't retrain when he was 70.
But why couldn't he?
Oh, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That somebody ever
Can I just
70-year-old
tell you
man
though?
came to the digital dean and was like, I want to do an apprenticeship. Is that all right? I'd be like, I think the place for you could be the home, potentially. Like,
You see, the
if you're
thing is
saying stuff
though,
like that now.
no, but the thing is, and maybe they are extreme examples, I get that. But the thing is, when you're 27, like you, Declan, and when you're
Oh, you've
58,
got all your life ahead of you,
no,
like
I'm
you,
not saying
Declan.
that. I'm not saying that. But we're talking about perceptions again, aren't we? When you're your age, you're obviously not thinking about being my age. But when you're actually my age and you realise that actually, in many ways, you haven't even reached your fullest potential. Because when you get older, you learn to not care about some of the things that held you back when you were younger. There is an element of freedom there, I think. An element of freedom which enables you to push yourself forward to do things that you probably would never have dreamed of. And you're actually
Mm.
not as frightened of failure when you get older as you used to be.
It's a bit of a
Um,
shame, isn't it, that you only get those feelings from being around for longer, because then you've got less time and opportunity to really go for it. Because
oh yeah, it's totally that
like
sort of stuff
I
sucks.
always
It's
say that, like, yeah, like if I could get out of my own way, sometimes I feel like I could achieve even more than I have done.
yeah.
And what if I eventually do get out of my own way in my 50s? It's like, well, isn't it a shame I couldn't have done it 30 years earlier? So
It is.
yeah.
It is. It's an interesting article, and it's written by a fabulous woman who writes a blog called Fab After 50. A woman called Kerry that I've known on Instagram for quite some time now, and we connected over on LinkedIn. And I really like some of the content that Kerry pushes out, and I thought this was just another fabulous article to bring up again. That there's continually evidence that there's no way that we should be sidelined. 50 is just far too young to be sidelined in this day and age, because we are all living a lot longer. We've got a lot to give. We've got HRT to help us along that our grandmas and great grandmas never had. They just used to have to go and cry in a corner. We've got so much more available to us now. So
But
why?
they weren't in the workplace as much
Exactly,
as,
that's what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
My grandma probably sat and had a hot flushes, sat on the sofa with a cup of tea of an afternoon after she'd done
mm,
her housework. Nobody was there to see how she felt, and she wasn't having to strive forward and go out and work. And why shouldn't we continue to work? Because it's often once your family's grown up that then you feel like it is come round again, that it's more time for you. So you've got that time. Why not use it in a way that you're really going to benefit from? And if that's a career or a new career, something that you've rediscovered or something that's completely new, why not? Because 50 is far too young when we're all living the lives that we are now.
Oh, I agree. So shall we end there? I know we had one last topic, but
what was the last topic that we were going to talk about?
So it's just that ITV are going to sell.
Oh, well, that's fairly new. So I think we can easily push that across to next episode, can't we?
Well, keep it in your notes.
I will. I'll keep it in my notes, Dex. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been good to see you doing the podcast together.
Yeah, it is. And obviously I've seen that you started pushing snippets of video out now. Forcing each other to get over ourselves with video, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all good. And the post this morning that you put on LinkedIn, I thought, it's quite fun. It's quite fun.
It is. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of It's in the Genes podcast. You can follow us both on Twitter. I'm at DeclanWilliams _ and Mum, what are you?
All right, before end date.
We are at It's in the Genes pod on Instagram, and on Twitter we're at In the Genes pod. You can follow our business at The Digital Gene across all platforms. And you can also now, if you fancy watching this podcast rather than listening, go to The Digital Gene's YouTube channel for the video version.
Watching and listening.
Fingers crossed, touching wood. That sounded rude. I don't know.
Rolls eyes.
But hopefully, between us recording and when this goes out, that football does come home. Yay. Right.
Looking forward to it. Take care. Bye. Bye, everyone.